Metro Exodus feels like a long-lost friend to me, specifically with the whole story-driven shooter genre. I loved plenty of shooters in recent years, shout out to Apex Legends and the criminally underrated TitanFall 2. However, it's been quite a long time since I've been this pleased with a single-player shooter that focuses completely on the narrative. In a way, Metro scratches that itch that the Bioshock series did for me back when I was in high school, a shooter all about storytelling with solid gameplay to back it up. Previous entries in the Metro series had you exploring underground metro systems in Russia after the Great Nuclear War presumably decimated the overworld. Those games were all about darkness and despair, but all that changes with Exodus. Where those games lean closer to the melancholy side of the post-apocalyptic world, Exodus is all about hope and ambitions for a better future. Starting Exodus, you're once again playing as Artyom, who has newfound hope for the surface world for various reasons that I'll leave up to you to find out. This takes him and his group of friends outside of the Metro system and into a whole new world for the series, radioactive Russia. It may be after the destruction of the world as we once knew it, but there's a sense of beauty still lingering across the environment. Together, you and your crew follow the railroad tracks across Moscow over the course of a year, traveling through different terrains in every season. It's a beautiful new playground for the Metro series and one that's explored so well narrative-wise. While the story is still linear to some extent, it also has some sort of hybrid sandbox system that meshes with that linear system of the story. Throughout it, you'll be presented with choices that affect the relationships you build and sort of destroy, certainly to a grander extent than I'd expect from a first-person shooter. It's well done and mostly in part because of how well the secondary characters are treated or put a focus on. Your crew isn't insensitive to your actions. If you go out on a mission risking your life for the sake of the rest of the group, they'll actually thank you and show appreciation when you come back. Unlike other shooters, they don't just give you another mission objective to go out and do. They help give meaning to your work, and in return, I too wanted to learn more about these NPCs. Through the little chats and conversations between areas on the train, I found myself engaging with people wanting to learn more about their own stories and what they've been up to. Overall, Metro Exodus does a stellar job telling a story that isn't just fascinating, but truly gets me to care about the people in the story. It's a different feeling from the previous Metro stories, but also familiar and grounded within the rules of the series. The one thing I would have liked to see improved is a bit of the pacing towards the end of the story. While there are a handful of climactic moments, without one grand central villain, the about 20-hour story didn't really feel like it had a grand climactic ending to sync up with the rest of the story. I certainly saw the build up to it, but it didn't have that big ending I was looking for entirely. The story themes aren't the only big contrast changes in this new Metro entry. Where gameplay was primarily confined to tightly spaced Metro systems in previous games, Metro Exodus opens up the whole world. While yes, you still technically have Metro system-like dungeons that you can explore for a more familiar experience, most of the time you'll be in larger sandbox worlds. As you make your way throughout Moscow, you come across all sorts of different terrains and different seasons that make them feel completely unique from each other. Although they're not a single connected open world, they still feel large and are designed in a way to sort of pique your curiosity. Despite the world growing in size, you move as you did in previous games, and so if there isn't a lot of action or things in front of you, it can at times feel like you're moving pretty slow for the level design. It's not a constant issue because the world isn't completely empty, but it's one that you can see as your explorations get deeper. The open sandbox level design also introduces new ways for you to take on enemies. You're essentially given free rein to act as you please, as these sandboxes sort of act like a hub for you to sort of wander from objective to objective. Along the way, you'll come across side missions and areas for you to explore, along with mutated enemies with their own beliefs settling in each of the larger areas. How you take on these enemies is completely up to you. You can try the stealth approach or maybe just run and gun it instead. For me, it's a mix of both until sort of stealth failed me and then I went to resort to the other one. Of course, on top of exploring the world and taking on absurd looking mutated creatures, you'll have to basically survive. This means scavenging the overworld for supplies, new tools to upgrade your weapons, and ensure the survival of your crew. The design of these survival mechanics actually help create this sort of personal attachment to your weapons. You work to upgrade them, clean them when they get dirty, and so on. This isn't just any rifle, it's my rifle. Gameplay isn't without its own hiccups though. I had some enemy AI act up on me where they sort of just lose track of me as I hide away in a way that just didn't really make sense for them to lose track of me. It's weird because the AI also had moments of brilliance where the enemy teams would actually coordinate together to find me in a maze of different obstacles. For as much as I enjoyed Metro's gameplay, it does have these moments of glitches and hiccups that rear their heads in from time to time. May it be someone repeating an audio line or just the AI not acting correctly. If you thought the interior designs of the Russian metro system looked good before, you'll be blown away by the attention to detail on the surface world. It may be after the nukes were dropped all across it, but the world here is shockingly beautiful. Most of the time you'll be exploring these sandbox areas throughout the time span of a year, and so you'll come across all sorts of different weather throughout the story. Depending on the weather, it actually affects some of the small visual things too. For example, just running through a puddle of mud, you'll notice that the dirt will actually kick up and dirty up your weapon that you're holding. It'll be something you have to manage and wipe down after your mission, and it's little touches like that really stood out to me. As for performance, on the Xbox One X, it seems to be running at 4K native resolution and 1440p on the PS4 Pro. As for the base consoles, they both run at 1080p, but the Xbox One specifically has a dynamic resolution that usually appears closer to 800p. Frame rates across all platforms vary, none of them really showed a consistent 30 frames per second, but for the most part, I think going with the One X is your best bet, at least in terms of the console side. When it comes to audio, Metro does a mostly stellar job when it comes to things like the environments and the weapons. Firing your gun lets out this large, almost crunch-like blast that feels so strong. There's this hefty feeling to it that helps give every shot a bit more emphasis. Voice acting, on the other hand, sort of varies on the situation. Performances by actors are mostly good, but they occasionally have these weird pauses in between certain conversations, or the quality of the performance sort of just drops. Like some of the hiccups in the gameplay, they sort of just randomly pop without consistency. As for Metro's soundtrack, it's very laid back feeling, almost like a mix of something melancholy but also fierce determination. For the entire setting of hope and seeking a better future, it totally works. Metro Exodus brings me the joy of playing a fun story-driven shooter that's not just about flashy arcadey shooting, but more about the characters behind the guns. It's an experience I haven't had in a while and one I enjoyed finally getting back to with Metro Exodus. With that said, the execution isn't entirely flawless. There are moments where you can see the flaws with the transition from confined Metro systems in the previous games to the new larger sandbox areas. Personally, while I love this new hybrid system of having large sandbox areas but also the option to explore side quest confined dungeon-like areas, I still see some room for improvement. Even with those flaws though, Metro Exodus shines for its storytelling and attention to detail. It makes me long for a new Bioshock game or a good Fallout game. I give Metro Exodus an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you all very much for watching my review. If you enjoyed it, then click that subscribe button to check out my new reviews every single week. You can also find my Discord server and Patreon links in the description down below. Hope you all have a great day and keep on gaming.